Hello and welcome to the 15-minute show, part of the Arsenal Therapy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam Keys. And today we are going to be talking about 5 reasons why Bukayo Saka is world class. But before we get started, please make sure to hit the like button on this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and keep helping us grow this channel and putting out more content. But without further ado, let's dive into why Bukayo Saka is actually world class. So there's been so much made of this in the media. It's become a bit of a circus recently. But the thing is with Saka, he just keeps delivering. And to be honest, I hate to drag myself into this argument. I hate to drag us into it, but we just can't stay away from it. The reality is Rio Ferdinand has created a storm in the media. And look, Rio has got some valid points, but the majority of them contradict themselves and are just plain daft. So let's dive straight in and have a look at some reasons why Bukayo is actually world class. Firstly, let's look at his last 5 fixtures. So he's on absolute fire at the minute with 7 goals in his last 5 games. So when you look at the spread of goals, the quality of opposition, obviously scoring against Liverpool, huge goal to put us 1-0 up. His goal against Newcastle, absolutely world-class finish. Same with the goal against Burnley. Same with the second goal against West Ham. This is a player who's just in electric form at the minute. His goal against Nottingham Forest was a goal that killed the game for Arsenal. Absolutely took any hope of against Forest winning that game, coming back into it. It just sucked the life out of them. Beautiful right foot finish. And that's what Bukayo is becoming. He's becoming a reliable player for Arsenal that steps up in the big moments. And that is one of the first things that we are going to talk about is goals. So there are 5 reasons, as I mentioned, and we are going to look at those reasons throughout this show, including his overall play, his goals, his assists, his availability, his heat maps, and comparisons to other players who were nominated for the Ballon d'Or, who play in the wide areas. So as Bukayo Saka is in the world-class category, we're not going to compare him to lesser players. We're only comparing him to fellow players who were also nominated for the Ballon d'Or. But again, firstly, let's look at his record against the Big Six. So 3 goals and 2 assists against United, 3 goals and 2 assists against Chelsea, 3 goals and 2 assists against Spurs, 3 goals against Liverpool, and 2 goals against City. So when you talk about a player that is world class, one of the first things that comes to mind is responsibility. And with Bukayo, responsibility has always been something that he has really embraced. From that day, he put the tweet out, said, "Arsenal fans, you deserve better." He has carried the cannon effortlessly. It's never been too heavy for him. As Thierry Henry once said, if the cannon's too heavy, it's time to leave. Bukayo is someone that has embraced everything about Arsenal. He's someone that has really got behind this Mikel Arteta project. He's become the poster boy of it. And alongside Martin Odegaard, I think he embraces and embodies everything that is good about Arsenal right now. And when you look at Bukayo's record and you compare it to previous greats, I mean, there are few greater than Cristiano Ronaldo in the game. When you look at what Bukayo Saka has achieved in his first 210 appearances in all competition, bear in mind Ronaldo did have some of his early appearances in Portugal, which was a much weaker league. Saka has actually got a better record than Ronaldo. He scored 1 more goal and he's got 6 more assists during that time. And he hit 100 goals and assists faster than Cristiano Ronaldo. So that in itself shows just how far along Saka is in his development, despite just being 22 years old. Because for those that are old enough to remember Cristiano in his early days at United, he was electric. And by the time he hit Saka's age, he was up there with the very best in the world. And there was no question about whether he was world class. He was only starting to hit his stride at this age too. But people were putting him in that world class category. And it's not just Ronaldo that you can compare him to. If you look at current greats, Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, he may not have won anything, but he is still a great striker. Only 3 players in Premier League history have scored, have faced 3+ teams and scored and assisted against every single one. And that's Kane, Saka, and Erling Haaland. And if you look at Saka's record, 24 out of 24, that is an insane record for a 22-year-old. When you look at Harry Kane, he's a player in his 30s now. He's been around a long time. He's played a lot of those clubs multiple times, and there's been many opportunities to do it. With Saka, some of these clubs he has only faced once. So the fact that he repeatedly steps up and delivers in these big moments shows part of why he is in that world-class category. And a big part of that is responsibility. And let's have a look at his goal against Newcastle, because we've already touched on that. If you look in the top left-hand corner here, when Saka gets the ball, Newcastle has 4 players in the box and 2 of them approaching the box. And you can see Martin Odegaard with both hands raised as he's approaching the box. And as Saka gets the ball into the box, again, they're at this point, Newcastle has 8 players inside the box, 8 players plus their goalkeeper. Saka cuts it back with ease, throws his man. But one of the big things here is that people say, don't let Saka onto his left foot. Don't let him cut back. Easy to say. And that's something that people used to say about Ian Robben. You know where he wants to go. Right? Ian Robben did it repeatedly throughout his career. Cut in on that left. And the thing was, people knew he was going to do it. They just didn't know when he was going to do it. But what Saka has an edge over even the likes of Ian Robben is he can go on his right. So if you're a defender here and you've got Saka inside the box, what you're thinking is he can go on his right very easily. And we'll have a look at some instances where he has gone on his right as the show goes on. But here, he has scored last week against Burnley, an absolute rocket into the top corner roof of the net with his right foot. He scored against Forest with his right foot. We saw him last year against Everton and against Leeds, right foot, top corner. This is a guy that can genuinely go on both feet. And if you can do that, it strikes fear into defenders. And then you look at the final action here. This is so clean. It's so crisp. And if you look at the number of bodies in between Saka and Karius, at this point, there's 8 Newcastle players in the box, all trying to crowd that out. And he actually hits it with a lot of pace, so much accuracy, and puts it straight into the bottom corner. Now, that is a world-class finish. And this killed the game for Arsenal. And this is part of the responsibility I talk about. So that's one of the true traits of a world-class player, is someone that takes ownership of what's going on in the pitch. They don't wait for things to come to them. And this is why Marcus Rashford, for example, will never, ever be in the category of a world-class footballer, because Rashford plays when the team's beaten to they're playing to his beat and things are going well for them. When things aren't going well, Saka is the player that steps up for Arsenal. And again, you look at his goal against West Ham a couple of weeks ago, very different position. He gets the ball, he's outside the box in the right half space, cuts inside, 1 touch, 2 touches, bang, throws the keeper into the bottom corner, electric finish. Again, this completely kills any hope that West Ham had left. It put Arsenal 5-0 up in this game. The pressure was off, but it was a real emphatic finish that I kind of felt that Saka needed that kind of statement finish, that because he scored a lot of tap-ins this season, and that's a result of him really improving his movement, his anticipation around the box, and him getting on the end of things that he may not have in previous years. And a big part of that he's had to do that is because he's been doubled up on. Arsenal are facing much lower blocks than they've ever faced. But again, that shows another arrow that Saka's added to his bow as he keeps developing and keeps pushing towards that world-class status, is the variety of goals he can score. And again, you look at the goal against Burnley that we mentioned. Again, comes in from Odegaard, similar position to Newcastle with still a lot of players in the box. He gets it. There's 4 players flat whenever he gets it. 1 touch, 2 touch, onto his right, bang, into the roof of the net before James Trafford can fully set himself. Because in this position, most keepers aren't thinking, he's going to put it straight past me into the roof of the net. And Trafford actually is where you would want your keeper to be, because as you can see, there's an Arsenal player, which looks like Kai Havertz, approaching the box. So he's really attacking that penalty spot. So as a keeper, you have to be aware of where that player is. But what Saka does so well here is the really quick touch, quick shift, and bang, onto the right foot. And again, if you're a defender, you think, don't show him onto his left. You've shown him onto his right, and he stuck it in the roof of the net with ease. So again, this is something, it's that unpredictability that Mikel Arteta has talked about, but this is something that Saka also has in his individual game as well. And when you look at the Premier League top goal scorers this year, Saka's a winger. Look at the players above him. You've got 3 strikers in there. You've got the most prolific striker in Europe right now, in Erling Haaland. You've got Dominic Solanke, who flew out of the traps and has kind of slowed down a bit. Ollie Watkins is having the season of his life. And the only other winger, that true winger that's up there, is Mo Salah. And below him is Heung-min Son. So Son is Jared Bowen again has been playing up front for West Ham. Richarlison again up front. Hwang at Wolves again up front, and Isaac again a striker. So Saka is one of, I guess, two, maybe three wingers that you put on this list. Son is an incredibly experienced player. Mo Salah is the best right winger, in my opinion, we've seen in the Premier League. He is someone with unmatched output and is someone that we want Saka to get to the level of Salah. And we will do a comparison with Salah and some other players here. But again, this just shows the level Saka's playing at right now, in that the goals are really flowing and he is putting himself in the mix with the very best players in the league and the most prolific players. But again, when you look at Saka's stats, where he ranks versus other attacking midfielders and other wingers, he is in the kind of 75th plus percentile for non-penalty goals. Again, XG for non-penalty goals. He's in the 91st percentile for non-penalty goals and the 77th for the XG for non-penalty goals. And again, shots total. This is an area where Saka can actually improve. Is just hitting more shots, having a go more often. And again, this is something that the whole Arsenal team could do more, is whenever we have a chance, having a go a bit more. And we've seen that in recent weeks where Saka has shot from, I guess, angles that aren't as clean to get the shot away from. And he's got that in his locker. He can do it. This is a player with such high technical security that he can do these things with ease. Again, assists, 89th percentile. Shot creating actions, 89th. And again, if you look at his other actions, passes, progressive passes, these things, one of the big things here, touches in the attack and penalty area, 96th percentile. And progressive passes, again, 98th. Progressive carries, 85th. Tackles is one of the most insane ones, 93rd percentile. This is a player, when you look at this chart, it just shows how balanced Saka is as a player and how much output, how much overall influence he has on a game. Just all these stats in his favor. This is very unusual for a winger, especially one who's 22 years old. But let's have a look at some of what he does as well, because his technical security is one of the main reasons that he has to be put in that world-class category, and his creativity. So the first reason why Saka is world-class is because of his goal scoring. He is up there with the best. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is technical security. If you look at the top left graphic here, he has the ball, 3 Newcastle players around him. So started off players kind of marking him one-on-one a few years ago. Then they very quickly realized we need to stop him. We need 2 players on him. Now we're seeing players tripling up on him. So Anthony Gordon here to Saka's left is cutting out any pass to Declan Rice, Jorginho, or Ben White, because we know Saka likes that ball. Said, doesn't matter. Odegaard's in between, has 2 defenders behind him. Saka slips this ball in, and this wasn't the only time he did this in this game. Straight in, but he doesn't rest on his laurels. Straight in, round the back of the defenders, gives Odegaard the option, back heel, and you can see, and this is what I talked about with the goal itself, when you say don't let Saka cut in. He doesn't want to cut in here. Straight round his man. He's completely beaten him for pace because he takes one touch into the box and he drives forward with ease, and he gets that ball in. And you can see where Martinelli is. You can see the arrow where Saka puts the ball. It's right in the penalty spot. It's right where you would want it as a defender or as an attacker coming in to head that ball. And Saka does this with ease. He bends his right foot around it and he gets it in exactly where you would want it to be. And again, this throws defenders, because you're thinking, if his right foot's that good, there's no way I can let him on his left, but he can also kill me with his right. And it puts that doubt into defenders' heads. And given the combination of these 2 things with the volume of touches he has in the box, defenders are becoming terrified to tackle him inside the box because you can give away a penalty. And that in itself allows Arsenal to just keep overloading teams and keep scaring them. And when you have a player like this, it really does inflict fear into defenders. And that's one of the biggest things of beating teams, is beating them mentally as well as physically on the pitch. So that is number 2 on the list, is the technical security of Bukayo Saka. And then the third reason is creativity. So here we see Saka again in the right half space. which is somewhere he really thrives, because Mikel does like having him right out wide on the touchline. But again, look at how he gets this ball. Phil Foden does this all the time. He gets the ball half turn quick away. He gets it. Ben White's bombing down the right, and he gets it, releases it very, very quick. And you can see the defender, he's turning, he's scampering away, thinking, right, I need to close this down. But again, that leads to the space for Saka, and it shows his ability to operate in various different positions across the pitch. And a big part of this is down to his early days at left back. He played in midfield for Mikel as well, so he was operating in that kind of left 8 role at times. He's played on the left wing. He's played in the right wing for the last 3 seasons. So he has got that positional understanding that very few players his age do. And again, we look at it. So this one, very different. He starts right out in the touchline. So this is a long ball, comes from David Raya, takes it down, just cushions it with ease, because that's what he does again. This supreme technical security, but it's also his strength. He gets the ball, defender on him. He doesn't care. If you go one-on-one in a strength battle with Bukayo Saka, there's a very, very good chance that you're losing that battle, because he is so, so strong. And again, when you combine that with technical security, this is a guy that will beat you 9 times out of 10. This time he comes in field. He drives the ball through to the middle. Again, we talk about these progressive carries. He gets the ball past the halfway line, past the circle, and he releases it straight into Martinelli, who plays it into Havertz, who has a terrible miss and should have scored. But again, it shows Saka's ability to create. And again, this comes down to the responsibility that I've spoken about. It's responsibility combined with creativity and strength. He has that in spades. He's someone that just gets it. No matter where he is in the pitch, he is looking for what is the fastest route to goal. I don't need to do 10 tricks to beat you. I can beat you with strength, quick burst of pace, and I'm away. And then he has the technical security at this point to just play that final pass despite a defender being right on his back and really chasing him back. Another player would have ran out of gas and probably would have taken a foul there, as a player is trying to pull you back. And again, look, we look at the heat maps, and Mo Salah is the player we need to compare Saka to, because Salah is the best in the world. And that's where we want Saka to be. We don't need to compare him to wingers like Anthony and so on. That's below his station. Compare him with the best. We're not aiming for the ceiling. We're not aiming for the floor. And a player like Saka, look at his heat map and compare it to Salah. Virtually no different. One of the really interesting things about both of these is it shows the work rate of both players and how much ground they cover across the season. They both like to pop up in that right half space. They both are heavily congested in and around the box. But one of the things where I think Saka can improve on, and this is how you can add even more goals to his game, is look how congested Salah's heat map is around the penalty spot. If you can get Saka arriving to meet balls there, he can add another 5-10 goals to his game every season. And I don't think that's being overly ambitious. And again, let's look at his stats against the top 5, or against other top wingers. As I said at the beginning of the show, we're only comparing Saka to other players who were nominated for the Ballon d'Or this year, because that is the level he's at. As I said, we're not going to scrape the barrel and look at other wingers who are nowhere near his standard. We're looking at the best here. And look at Saka's numbers in comparison to these other wingers. Vinicius is a player who everyone knows is sensational, but look at Saka's record in the league compared to his. And one of the things you'll notice about Saka is availability, firstly. And availability and physicality is one of the reasons that makes Saka world-class. He is always able to play for Arsenal. Ali McCoist used a great line the other night. He said he always turns up for work. And that's a massive thing. It's that availability, it enables him to keep improving. It keeps the rhythm going, and it just ensures that he's always sharp. And yes, it does lead to some dips where tiredness kicks in, but ultimately he's been able to keep development because it's never been interrupted by injury. And when you look at penalty goals, same as Salah, 4 goals each from the penalty spot. Salah has scored 2 more goals from inside the box this season. He scored 2 more goals in total. So again, when you look at Saka's record, he is getting closer to Salah. And yes, Salah missed 4 games this season. However, it shows that Saka is pulling himself closer to this absolute superstar. This one of the most consistent players that we've seen. And again, when you look at him compared to Vinicius, look, his numbers just blow everyone else out of the water. Conversion rate is actually higher than Salah's. But what Salah does, this is what I said earlier, Saka should do with hitting more shots. Salah's hit 9 more shots this season and he scored 2 more goals. But look at their shot accuracy and compare it with others. Saka's shot accuracy, 62.2%. Salah, 62.9%. These two guys are very, very similar in their output right now. Saka scores more goals with his right foot than Salah. But when you look at these actions, they're so similar in what we're seeing from Saka and Salah this season. And this is where we want Saka to get to. We don't want him to get to just a mid-table level or that kind of 10 to 20 winger in the world. We want him to be number one. And Salah is the player that he needs to be aiming for, even higher than maybe a Vinicius. But again, when you look at these stats are even more impressive. So these are his creative numbers. Touches, more touches than any other player. He has a double the number of touches this season than Vinicius. Ball recoveries, again, more than double the number of recoveries of Salah, 4 times as many as Vinicius. Chances created, again, he blows all these other wingers out of the water. And remember, aside from Salah, he has more goals than everyone else. So when you look at assists, this is where Arsenal are letting him down. And it's the same with Martin Odegaard. Both Saka and Odegaard should have had more assists this season. We could do with being more clinical in front of goal. Liverpool do have more firepower in that final third, and that Salah has benefited from it. But again, passes attempted significantly higher than everyone else. Passes completed. Saka has completed more passes this season than Salah, Vinicius, or have actually attempted, which again is insane. Crosses attempted. Again, 6 times what Salah has done, 4 times what Vinicius has done, double what Kvaratskhelia has done. And again, successful crosses and corners. You're talking night and day between him and everyone else. Crossing accuracy, again, insanely high. One of the areas where he can add more to his game is those 3 balls, which we see Salah being night and day with everyone else. But ultimately, Saka is completing more passes. He's playing more forward passes. And all these numbers are the reasons that it really comes together for him. And it puts him firmly in that world-class category. And just to finish up, one of the biggest compliments, Tite, Brazilian coach, said if he was asked if he could cap one England player for Brazil, who would he choose? And he said, I would cap Saka for Brazil. He's the kind of player you can't control. And I think that's a perfect quote on Saka, because he is the kind of player you can't control. But look, there are areas of Saka's game that he can improve, most notably the running. We all want to see him step up in the running. And in 2021-22, he had 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 10 games. Last season, he had 1 goal and 2 assists in his last 10. This is the area where he can improve. And look, the evidence is showing that it's happening right now in front of our eyes. This is the highest level Saka's ever hit for Arsenal, and he's only going to get better. So to summarize, the 5 reasons why Saka is world-class: you've got goals and creativity. His numbers don't lie there, and those 2 combined to make responsibility. You've got technical security, you've got positional understanding, and you've got the physicality stroke availability. You put those 5 together and you've got a player who is just right up there with the very best, and he is only getting better. So look, please make sure to hit the like button on this video if you've enjoyed it. Drop us a comment in the comments section and tell us what you think. Tell us where you think Saka can improve and how he can keep getting better. And tell us if there are any wingers aside from Mo Salah that you think are actually better than Bukayo Saka right now. Once again, please subscribe. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Thank you very much.